one step to your left. There you go.
Yep, hi. Hi. Yes, hi. Yes, I can. Hello. Beside my son on, Andy.
Yes, it is. It's a direct wire.
Oh, okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I always forget about this mic.
Okay. Yeah. You need this?
Thank you.
It's not been used. It's clean.
Thank you.
Okay.
Stand by. Well, Sarah, it's been just over an hour since Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane crashed here at the Elizabethton Airport. Let me give you a closer look at the scene here. My photographer, Andy, is going to zoom in. As you can see, we have dozens of law enforcement here on scene. And as you can tell, the plane is pretty much sitting right in the middle of the road. I'm sure you can see it here. You see, I would imagine that's the engine there on the right-hand side, as well as the wing sticking out on the left. But that's really all you can make out at this hour of the plane. Really barely an engine and barely a wing of this plane that crashed here at the end of the runway around 3:40 this afternoon here at the Elizabethton Airport. We reached out to the FAA. Here's the narrative that they've been telling us as of right now. We know a Cessna Citation rolled off the end of runway 24 and caught fire after landing at the airport here at 3:40. Preliminary indication is that 2 pilots and 3 passengers were aboard this plane, and we do know tonight that this was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane. His wife was also aboard, as well as their child, according to his mother and social media reports from his mother this afternoon. And we're awaiting more information from the Sheriff's Office. We have the Carter County Sheriff's Office on scene, Elizabethton Police Department on scene, as well as fire agencies. When we first arrived on scene, there's actually a little bit of a waterway here on our left-hand side. We saw a piece of the plane still on fire and smoking in that waterway. Here on scene, we saw people kind of stepping back away from it because you could feel the heat from that fire as that piece of the plane was still burning and smoking as fire crews were working to put out that fire here on scene. And again, we're told 5 people were on board, including Dale Earnhardt Jr. This was his plane here that went off the runway here at the Elizabethton Police Department. And we are also told that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in the hospital. We're unclear on the condition at this time, but we do know from airport officials that everyone was able to get off the plane okay, but we're still awaiting to learn more about Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s condition after this crash here this afternoon. Again, we're told everyone is okay. And on my left-hand side, I want to show you, we have the Workforce Development Complex here right across from this plane crash site. And we've been speaking to a few people who work in that building. None of them wanted to go on camera. They were a little bit shaken up when I went up to them earlier today, but they have been telling me that they really didn't think anything was wrong. They saw a plane that was flying low, but of course, we're right next to the airport. That's not an uncommon scene at the airport to see a plane flying low, of course, really just feet away from the airport. But they were telling me they saw a plane flying low, and then all of a sudden they heard a loud crashing noise, and the road is right here. So people in that building were telling me they thought it was a car crash of some sort since the road is right here. But once they actually went up to the windows and saw the scene that was unfolding outside of their office building, they realized that it was in fact a plane that crashed here at the end of the runway and was on fire. And I'm told that agencies responded within seconds cranes here to start putting out that fire, and they saw people running off the plane, and they, I would imagine, saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. running off that plane, but at the time they didn't know it was him. They also saw a dog, and they saw those 4 other people. Again, we know 5 people were on board the plane at the time of this crash. And here back at the scene, we do have some crime scene tape that's kind of littered here in the grass here. As you can tell, this investigation has spanned really this roadway as well as the scene here on our left-hand side. You see the waterway here that I was talking about earlier. That's where we saw a piece of the plane that was on fire and smoking when we first arrived here on scene. As you can tell now, they've been able to put out that piece of the plane, the fire that was on that piece of the plane here on the waterway. And of course, we're going to continue to learn more about this investigation. We're also going to be speaking to investigators and the sheriff's office to learn more about what exactly unfolded here this afternoon. Sarah, I'll send it back to you for now.
I was just kind of following your cue.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how we'll do. We'll do that. That's how we'll do it.
Yeah. Can't believe I don't have my earplugs.
I know. Where are they?
Backpack maybe?
Been on your car?
In that backpack in there?
Look at this.
I know.
Crazy.
I know. We should mention that next time. Jet fuel. There's jet fuel burning in that. Look where it came to the freaking gate and the plane. Look where it like
Oh,
crashed
yeah.
through Damn, that's crazy.
Oh my God.
So you were on CNN and CBS? National news?
Yeah.
Was that National Live?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good.
I'm just trying to.
I know.
Yeah.
Calm down. Lots to do that, by the way. It's not good. It's not good.
Jay just said we're ready to go whenever. So, yeah.
Looks like they're about to do something to it. What's all that stuff up there? Just call me. I don't have it on speaker. Just mute it. Mobile like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just took some notes from what he said. Google and Stanley's also okay. Highway closed at rising speeds, but he said it's clear, busy road, no cars in it. It's really a miracle there.
Yeah.
Look at this road.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
This
this
is
road.
busy.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm just going to Google Maps and that's it. Yeah, it's 91.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, you were up there already?
Well, we've got other people.
Oh,
up there.
okay.
We're
All right.
still
I didn't know if they told you about it. That's
How are
fine.
you doing? You guys doing okay?
Yeah, how are you?
Okay, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
What is this?
Yeah, it's the fuel burner on.
Okay,
It's running.
gotcha.
It's running down. So.
Okay, thank you. Be careful. Okay, Andy, let's show this.
Go on that side.
Hmm.
On this side, go.
Sorry. Where this is burning right here now and flaming.
Stand by.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Excuse me 1 second. Yep, we're here on the crash site still, Sarah. And as you just heard my colleague Josh Smith talking about, and from Sheriff Lunsford, this really is a miracle here that no one was hurt here on the highway behind me as this plane came crashing onto the highway. I want to show you something significant that we're seeing behind us. I'm told that's actually jet fuel that's still smoking and burning here on the highway. That's why we have all these law enforcement agencies ensuring that people do not drive by here as they continue to investigate and work this crash scene after Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane crashed here at the end of the runway around 3:40 this afternoon. And let's go to our left now. I want to show you the crash scene one more time. Let's give you a closer look at what we're seeing at this hour. As you can tell, the plane is still sitting on the road here. As you heard Sheriff Lunsford talking about, he talked about the significance of this plane sitting on the roadway and on a busy roadway. As a matter of fact, a roadway that many people drive by here in Elizabethton on a regular basis, and it's really a miracle that no cars were hit in this incident, and again, no one on board the plane was hurt. And we do know that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was taken to the hospital, and Sheriff Lunsford did say that he was alert and talking to him, so that's great news here this evening, that Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his family and all the 5 people that were on board that plane were okay after this plane came crashing here at the end of the runway. And as you can see, we do have law enforcement from various agencies here on the scene. We have fire department, we have the sheriff's office, and I would imagine federal investigators with the NTSB and the FAA are en route or might already be here to start this investigation that I would imagine is going to go well into the night as well as into the coming days as they continue to investigate this incident here this afternoon in Elizabethton. But for now, I want to send it to Josh, who's also on scene here. Sorry about that. We'll move out of your way.
Well, where this started flaming again here, we're going to back
Okay.
it up a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Just let us know where we can stand.
I'm going to move this line to that pole.
Okay.
There's actually concrete and stuff that's in those tiles. It's falling and stuff from the fire.
Oh, no, that's not mine.
Oh.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Let me get rid of that.
You guys letting that burn out or what?
Yes.
How long does that usually take?
1,000 gallons of fuel is what we're getting an estimation of.
What you guys are up to now for the cleanup goes?
Technically, all questions from us are going through the fire chief.
Okay, where's the fire chief?
Last I heard, they were set up here at the airport.
So my colleague Josh
Yes.
talking to him
Yes.
already. Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to know if I could grab anything from you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I don't want to answer any
Sure, I
questions.
understand. Can you talk about the fuel?
What we heard was 1,000 gallons.
Okay. Is that a lot?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot, right? Okay, I mean, I would imagine it's a lot.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
don't know, in relation to a plane, I don't know really.
Well, flame wise, I'm not sure myself either.
Okay.
But yeah, it's quite a bit of fuel. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what we're seeing.
That's what
here.
you're seeing
Yeah.
burning.
And then did it go into the water or no?
All I know for sure right now is there's some burn residue. Yes, like the residue from where it's burnt. But other than that, I don't know about how much fuel is actually burning.
Okay. So $1,000 fuel.
We're hoping most of it's burning off.
So $1,000 fuel and then a lot of it is still.
Out of 1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't really give you an estimation of how much
Okay.
may.
Where did it go? On the road?
What was on the ground's already burned.
Okay. Gotcha.
What is leaking out of the fuel, we've got stopped and we've got it combed where it won't catch back on fire.
Gotcha.
What you see burning here is what has already, yes, what you see here is what has already burned down.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now that's what it's doing. All this shit up.
You guys have good.
Thank you, sir. Be careful. Still takes a while.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. Whenever they come, they're just taking the exhaust back and forth.
Oh, this is the news tonight, huh?
Yeah, the whole thing. That's what they said. Yeah.
All right.
I'm seeing here on Twitter.
They're coming here?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for mentioning me by name on national TV. Okay. You just know my partner Andy here. Oh, Andy Johnson. good because we can still see with the caution tape. Yeah. Oh, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. The caution tape.
Okay, so mark right there.
Hey. Copy that. Shut up. Josh and Philip are moving. So it's going to be you. It's going to be you.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Until further notice.
Okay.
So whenever we come back, it's on you.
Okay.
So I can see the building. I can see a little bit of the water. Some tape. That scene right there looks really good with the caution tape behind it.
Does this look okay? Thank you. When we have a second, let's go to the gas station. Well, I'll go.
For what?
And see if anyone can talk to us about it.
Take this step over here. Get that pole out of the shot. So it is currently over your right shoulder.
Okay.
Jet fuel back there too. Things flying up again, dude.
Stand by. Well, good evening. We're still on the crash scene here in Elizabethton. Here's another look behind us. We've since had to move down further down this hill. A fire marshal that I spoke to earlier told us that he wanted us to move down because of that fuel that was actually smoking here still on the roadway that I showed you in my earlier live shot. He thought we were all a little bit too close, so he decided to move us further down the hill so we were all a safe distance away from that fuel. And here's another look from the scene. We're a little bit further away, like I said, and this kind of gives you a better vantage point of the scale of the response here. Take a look at all the fire department officials that are out here. We have a fire truck here in the foreground, and then we have tons of police officers, really officers as far as the eye can see from multiple agencies, like we've been telling you, the Carter County Sheriff's Office and Elizabethton Police Department, I would imagine, responded first because this is in the Elizabethton response limits here, and the crime scene tape is stretching across this area. This is the parking lot of the Workforce Development Complex. They're affiliated with Northeast State Elizabethton's campus. Those are the people I was speaking to earlier. They were kind of exiting the building, and they were telling me they heard that boom as they were working in their offices. They looked up outside the window, and there it was, the plane on fire, really in the middle of the highway here, a busy road that we've been hearing throughout the evening so far from the sheriff's office that it's a miracle that no cars or people were hurt in this incident as this plane came crashing, landing here at the end of the runway here on the highway. And we've moved down a little bit again because of that jet fuel that was smoking earlier in the road. And the fire marshal tells me this plane had 1,000 gallons of jet fuel on it. And of course, it sounds like a lot of jet fuel. He was telling us in relation to a plane that is a significant amount of jet fuel. And a lot of it did actually leak from the plane here as it hit the ground. Of course, that entry and that hard hit here on the ground would send that jet fuel flying out of the plane. And they've since been able to contain the leak. A lot of it ended up leaking onto the roadway here, but he tells me that they've been able to put some foam down into the road to not cause any sort of environmental issue as well as any fire hazard with anybody who's investigating the crash here or anybody who happens to be out here in the area as they continue to investigate. But again, 1,000 gallons of jet fuel on this plane. Again, 5 people were on board this plane, so a significant amount of people can fit on this plane. It's not a tiny plane of any sort. 5 people can fit on board, and again, 1,000 gallons of jet fuel that were on board that plane, and a lot of it did leak out here on the scene. And again, we're here in a grassy area at the end of a parking lot here. If you're familiar with this area, we're at the Workforce Complex parking lot here, again, affiliated with Northeast State Elizabethton, and the runway for Elizabethton Airport is really in the distance there. It's hard to tell from here, but if you look at the plane, if you take a closer look at the plane, I'm going to have Andy zoom in a little bit closer here on the plane, you can kind of see the fence in the distance. There's a big bend in it, and that's obviously from the plane going past that fence barrier or hitting the fence barrier in some way when it came crashing down here after the end of the runway and has significantly damaged that fence. So it really goes to show the power of this crash as the plane came away from that fence and really onto the roadway here. Also, if you look a little bit towards my right, you may be able to see a little bit more. There's actually a big gap in fencing right here. If we turn a little bit right, you can see a huge gap in the fencing here. That fencing, of course, is to protect the airport and to protect drivers as they're driving by the airport here. But that fencing here, a significant amount of it, I would imagine at least 200 feet of the fencing here is gone in light of this plane crash. Let's take you to our right now. This is where the media staging area, my colleague Josh Smith is actually in that parking lot. You've been hearing from him throughout the evening. That's where he's been getting updates from officials here on scene. And this is really the stretch of the investigation here. We have the Stony Creek Volunteer Fire Department. They're here on scene assisting Elizabethton Fire Department and the various Sheriff's Office agencies that are out here investigating this crash. We're going to continue to show you more from the scene as well as we get more information from federal and local officials on this crash. No, I'm gonna see if I can talk to someone. If you want, you can get someone.
Yeah, here. How would it be today?
Still see the plane crash site from the parking lot of the gas station. Probably not, right?
Not with all these cars in the way. We're already low, and that's gonna be a lower than.
Yeah. What do you want to drink? Okay.
Big one. Do whatever you want.
Okay, thank you. say stand by and I go.
You can mention the cracking and the popping.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I'm going again.
oh, right up.
Yep. Can you get that off, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
What do you do now? Good thing.
Yes. Yeah. Hi.
You can mention that smoke coming out from right there.
Yeah. What is that?
That's the jet fuel that's burning off. It's
Okay.
there and there.
Is this a river? Do we know?
It's not a river.
It's just like a stream.
Drainage.
Oh. Okay. Got it.
Watauga River is over there.
Mhm.
This doesn't go into it. Oh, look at it now.
Yeah.
You want to stand over there?
So you sure that's jet fuel?
It is jet fuel.
Okay.
That's what it said.
Okay.
That's what's burning off in there.
Okay.
Because when he said because this is runoff right there, this sewage.
Okay.
Or pipe. Of course it stops. Oh, well.
Yeah. He's talking about that. He's talking about the fuel, police chief.
Is one of the fire department people?
Yeah, he's talking about the fuel, the jet fuel.
Right there, yeah. We don't have an angle on this one.
Okay,
Over
so we'll
the
just do
top.
that. Okay. We'll just keep it tight on that.
On the point
Yeah,
rail?
I think so.
Okay.
And we're in a break. Andy. Red Cross.
Big news now.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Oh, you see file. Are they up there yet?
Yeah, I can throw up there. I don't know. Away.
Sure.
Stand by. Well, good evening to you, Sarah. We're still here on scene after the aftermath of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane crashing here at the Elizabethton Police Department. Take another look here. We're going to give you as tight of a shot as possible. As Sarah, you were just talking about, and as police were saying, they do not want anyone close to the scene here. They want people to avoid the area. And again, this plane has crashed in the middle of the road here, a busy road, a road that we all travel here in the Elizabethton area, but at this time, it's not safe to be here. We have investigators here. I also noticed that one of the investigators has a camera. I would imagine they want to take photos. They want to document this scene as they continue to investigate. And as you heard the police chief, Jason Shaw of Elizabethton, say, they imagine that this road will be closed until at least this time tomorrow. So a wide-span investigation here. We have an officer here in the foreground, if we can show you. We have investigators working here in the grassy area where this jet fuel continues to smoke here. Andy, if you can get a closer look at the jet fuel here, it's continuing to smoke at this hour. The jet fuel that has leaked out of this plane, again, around 1,000 gallons of jet fuel on this plane continue to leak in certain parts. And of course, they did actually stop that leaking, but it's continuing to smoke here on scene. We have multiple investigators still here working the scene, fire department, police department, and pretty much all the people that were here at the time this happened, all the people who work in this building behind us, they have pretty much cleared the area. They've been telling people to go home. They want people to get out of here so that they can safely investigate and people can do their job and, of course, figure out what exactly happened to this plane and what brought it crashing down at the end of the runway here, sending, Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the hospital. We at least know at this time 5 people on board. The good news here tonight, they are all okay. So still an active scene here. We can see investigators from multiple agencies. The area is taped off. They want to ensure that people who do not belong here are not here. We do have people consulting with each other. They're really trying to piece together at this point what exactly happened here now that the fire and smoke has pretty much been contained. Now it's really putting this puzzle together, figuring out what happened to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane here this evening as they continue to investigate. And of course, we have multiple agencies here. We've been seeing agencies that we've never seen before. I would imagine the NTSB and the FAA are here as well. Federal agencies come in to investigate things like this. And of course, we do know it's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane. They all want to figure out what exactly happened to the plane here this evening. And this is going to be a widespread investigation. Again, if you live in Elizabethton, there are detours in place. We just heard that from Police Chief Jason Shaw. He was telling us that there are detours in place this evening. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on that. We're going to keep you updated on where those detours are so you can get home and go about your business here this evening if you need to avoid this area, which is, of course, the safe thing to do at this time. Josh, I'm going to send it to you. Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't say anything like hours down or hours up or anything like that.
I could hear myself in that one.
Good.
I'm really thinking about going to get some car over here.
charge my phone, probably in the car. That's me. Okay, 1 sec. Okay, we're in the triple box off the top. I need to listen first and then I'll call you.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna wait. I need to wait till she's done talking. Or can I call you really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
What? What did she say?
Something first and then the tossing to you.
Toss, she said? Okay, I thought she said talk. Okay, got it.
Putting up lights now.
What are they doing?
Putting up lights.
Okay.
Portable lights.
So, yeah, it's gonna get dark here in the next. Okay, we're in a split box off the top, so we'll have to stay still.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ready.
Thank you. Yeah, it's getting a little dimmer, right?
Huh?
The smoke is getting a little dimmer. Yeah. Where are the lights?
They change. It's like that one goes
Yeah.
and now one stops. And
Where are the lights?
oh, that's that portable light right there. That beige box.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it.
So if you want me to.
Oh, let's point that out first.
I've been messing with that one too.
Okay. You hear that? Wow. You think? Can you tell?
It's not moving fast, so it's gotta be.
Yeah. So, Andy, if they're still working here, let's point them out first. Then we'll go to the light, and then we'll go to the plane.
Copy.
Can you tell what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about it. Can you tell? Can you zoom in and see?